Hey everyone, welcome back to another video from A Man Talks FPL SC. In today's video, we're going through my Game Week 19 team selection. Just after posting my double Game Week update video, we've got further news of two postponements. We've got Liverpool versus Leeds is off and Wolves versus Watford is off. So big news there because we've got a lot of players from Liverpool. So it's going to be very interesting if we should actually just play the free hit. I'll go through what my current thoughts are, what I'm looking to do with the team, and if we get any further news, how I'm kind of looking to navigate this game week and also still try to get to a decent place for Game Week 22, potentially in the double game week. So if you guys enjoyed the video, really appreciate a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, but let's get into it. So to begin the video, I thought it might be worthwhile just checking in with our good old friend on Twitter, Ben Krellin, the fixture guru, just to see what he's been tweeting in terms of further updates. So it seems like the double game week fixtures should hopefully be announced in the next few days for game weeks 21 and 22. And he says potentially if we're not looking to free hit this particular game week, the best maybe possible use of transfers is to try to target teams who have a good chance of actually doubling in 22, but also maybe in game week 21. So if you hadn't watched my previous double game week video, it was seen that game week 21 had less of a chance of being a double game week, but it seems like there is still some potential. So it still might be worthwhile, if you're not looking to play a free hit this particular game week, using your transfers to bring in teams who might play in both of these double game weeks. And I'll quickly show in the next slide the spreadsheet that he's referring to in his in his tweet there. You can see there on the screenshot just over there, that one, you can see that he really likes potentially going for Ronaldo if you are looking to potentially take out Salah, who does blank now in this particular game week, because Ronaldo does have a chance of doubling both in 21 and in 22. I'm also now actually in favor of potentially looking to get in Ronaldo as well. I'll get into some of the reasoning when I get onto my team on the actual FPL page. He also mentions Burnley, Brighton and Brentford as decent options, although they don't really have too many standout picks, I think. But I think Manchester United is a very good team that we can target. And he does also mention there that Spurs probably won't actually have a double in Game Week 21, assuming that the EFL Cup still remains with a two-legged format as opposed to the one-leg format. So what I'll just quickly show now is the actual spreadsheet he's referring to. This will just maybe make it a little bit easier to visualize. So I know, well, easy to visualize, it's a bit chaotic as well, but it tells us everything that we need. So basically, if you just look at the header, you can see the light shade of yellow is possible double game week, and the darker kind of orange is a likely double game week, and the bright yellow is a double game week. So you can see there, he's highlighted in bright yellow game week 22. He's probably pretty certain that that is going to be a double game week. And you can see the week before game week 21 is a possible double game week. Looking at the teams that have that kind of middle shade of the potential double game week in game week 21, the teams are Burnley, Watford, Brighton, Leicester, Manchester United, and Brentford. So that kind of goes to what he was saying about, potentially going for someone like a Manchester United player, like a Cristiano Ronaldo, if you are looking to take out Salah. Could be maybe the optimum strategy if you're not looking to free hit in this particular game week. And at the moment, as it stands, I'm not planning on using my free hit this particular game week. When I get onto my team, we'll make it a little bit clearer as to why that is the case. And initially, I was thinking maybe Salah to Son, but now I am thinking a little bit closer to maybe using not two free transfers, just the one free transfer and taking a -4 to go from Salah to Ronaldo. So what I'll just quickly get into now is I'll show my team on the main FPL page, and we'll do some tinkering just to show you guys a little bit easier. So here's my team currently set up, putting my Liverpool players on the bench. You can see I've got Jota, Trent and Dennis actually blanks as well because the Wolves-Watford fixture is postponed. So if I quickly just scroll down to the fixtures, you can see there are a few less fixtures because there's no Liverpool playing and there's no Watford-Wolves playing as well. So that's kind of unfortunate. One thing to note though is that the Liverpool-Leeds fixture postponement was due to Leeds having COVID issues, not Liverpool. So you'd expect that Liverpool is okay to probably play in game week 20. And in the Watford-Wolves game, it was Watford who actually called for the postponement, but there has been some news that apparently from The Athletic that Watford should be okay for game week 20 because next week they do play West Ham, and so obviously quite a few people might have the like of Antonio or Jared Bowen, but it does seem that that game should hopefully be okay, fingers crossed, between Watford and West Ham. But just quickly going back to the team, so as you can see, as things stand, because things have been changing so quickly, I can field 10 players. So I've got Ramsdale in goal, I've got James, Livramento, Cancelo and Alonso. I've actually got the captaincy on Cancelo at home to Leicester at the moment. I've got Gallagher, Bernardo Silva, Foden, and then I've got Antonio and Lacazette in the front line. So you can see I've got 10 players. Salah obviously blanks as well. The downside is that I have to play someone like Livramento, and that obviously I'm still short of a player. And I think this is going to be a week where a lot of players are going to free hit. Now, just quickly going back to that Game Week 19 fixture list, quite a few nice matchups. So I think people who do play the free hit have got a good opportunity to really get some good upside, because you've got Newcastle versus Manchester United. So you'd think that Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be the most heavily captain player now that Salah is out of the picture for this game week. People are going to get into De Gea, Dalot as well. And then if you look at other games, you've got Man City, Leicester. I think that's still going to be a good game because Leicester have been pretty poor defensively. Arsenal, Norwich, yeah, I can fully expect, double Arsenal attack. Spurs, Crystal Palace as well. The likes of Heung-min Son or Harry Kane could also feature on free hits. And then West Ham, Southampton, the likes of Jared Bowen, I think could also feature. So overall, there's quite a few good fixtures in play. So I think playing the free hit this particular game week, if you're short to say, like 5-6 players, then you'd have to start taking like a -12, to, field a full 11. Then maybe the free hit has some use. The way things stand for me though, I've got 10. So with one free transfer, I can get to 11. I think if there's any further postponements though, so say for example Villa versus Chelsea, because Villa have had some COVID issues, as have Chelsea. If that particular game gets postponed as well, I very much would probably play the free hit. So I'll probably get into a free hit draft as well just soon after this. But as things stand, I'm looking to not use the free hit. And in terms of my chip strategy, because Liverpool have actually got this blank now, there's a good chance that it could feature actually in double game week 22. And so for that reason, the number of players in your team who actually have a double, and Liverpool I think would have Brentford and Leeds, which is a great kind of double game week. So I definitely would want to keep the likes of Jota and Trent. Now in terms of Salah, I'm thinking of selling this game week. I know it's a big risk because Salah's obviously been absolutely killing it so far this season, but just looking at his fixtures up ahead, he's now going to have this blank game week in game week 19, then it's Leicester away, then it's Chelsea away, and then game weeks 22 and 23 is when he's actually expected to go away for AFCON. So he's going to miss Brentford and Crystal Palace. So it would be, I think Leicester away is a tough match to not own Salah, because he probably is a good captain in that option, because Leicester have been pretty poor defensively. But away to Chelsea, I think I can live without him. Obviously he did score against them the previous time that they met, but that was just a penalty as well. And if Chelsea are able to keep the likes of Kante fit, then I think defensively they're going to also improve. And I think just with those nice fixtures, as I kind of outlined previously for Game Week 19, I kind of see this as an opportunity where I can sell him and bring in the likes of a Son or of Cristiano Ronaldo, just to really kind of beef up my team. And being a little bit more aggressive, it's going to kind of maybe offset some of the gains that people on free hit might have if I don't actually use my free hit. Because now my chip strategy potentially is actually going to be use my free transfers to build to a pretty decent double game week team that I can hopefully bench boost in. And then maybe if Salah, I want to bring him back just after AFCON, I've got the wildcard up my sleeve and I can maybe potentially wildcard him straight back in, as well as targeting players on fixture swings. And then in that case, I'll have 2 free hits up my sleeve for a blank game week 30 and maybe another double game week in game week 36. So that's my current kind of strategy at the moment, but obviously kind of a couple more postponements that really affect my team. I'm probably going to play the free hit this game week, but as it stands, I'm not looking to do so. So I've just jumped onto the transfers page now just to kind of show you what my thinking is, and I think I'm very open to selling Salah. So the first thing I thought of, with this whole Liverpool postponement was Salah to Heung-min Son, really. He seemed like the most obvious kind of candidate because Spurs do have some good fixtures coming up and they're very likely to have a double game week in game week 22. So I've just added Son to the team and that leaves 2.7 mil in the bank. And just as I kind of wanted to highlight, very good fixtures coming up for Spurs, so I really want to look to bring in Spurs players because they've got Crystal Palace at home, Southampton, Watford, and then maybe a double game week of Arsenal and one of their postponed fixtures, which I think is either Burnley, Brighton, or Leicester. So all pretty decent teams that you could have a double game week. So Son is definitely high up in my thoughts, and that was my initial thought as to who I'd want to bring in for Salah. Now in this strategy, I could just do the one free transfer and then I had 11 players. The issue is that Foden, we're still a little bit unsure if he's going to play. Pep's press conference was not very helpful. He said, I'm going to clarify the situation regarding the disciplinary action, but not to you, i.e. the media, so we're not going to have any clues as to how he's going to line up for that game against Leicester. I would hope that Foden does start because obviously he's in my team and I need as many players as possible, but there's a little bit of doubt around him, as there is with the likes of Antonio, because Antonio did actually test positive for COVID last week. Apparently it was last week, and he might have a good chance of featuring in this particular game week, which would be a good thing to do. Given that I've got these couple of doubts as well, I would maybe potentially look at taking a -4, and instead I would also take out Emmanuel Dennis. The reason I'm looking to maybe take out Dennis is that he's got a pretty decent chance, I think, of going to AFCON, and I think just the way that the fixtures have fallen, I think it's probably an easy decision to sell him, because as you can see, he's going to blank in game week 19. We have no idea if that game in game week 20 is going to continue because it's Watford who have the COVID issues, and in any case it's West Ham, so it's a pretty tough matchup. And then it's Spurs, and then game week 22, 23, which is Newcastle, Norwich, the nice fixtures. He might not even be there because he might be at AFCON. So I think, to me, it's a pretty easy decision to actually sell Dennis, and I can really beef up my team using the Salah money. The issue is when I take him out, I've got 8.4 mil in the bank, but as you can see, there's just not really too many great kind of forward options that we can target. I mean, Ronaldo is an obvious target, but I can't afford him in this particular strategy. Maybe Watkins is a consideration, but he's coming up against Chelsea, and then, we're not sure what the COVID situation is there as well. So I think going for someone like a Watkins could be a bit of a risk. Now, this is a bit of a punt as well. The two players I did think about was Callum Wilson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So Calvert-Lewin should hopefully be back for the Boxing Day fixture, although the issue is that Everton have had their own COVID problems as well, and they actually put a request to the Premier League to postpone their game. That proposal was rejected, so there's probably a good chance that Calvert-Lewin is going to play, but he's having such, he's coming back off such a long layoff, and he's probably going to have to be forced to play extra minutes than what, Benitez hoped for. Maybe, fingers crossed that doesn't actually happen, but, that sometimes could lead to like a reoccurrence of injury. We're just not sure how sharp he's going to be, so I think going for Calvert-Lewin could be a nice play because Everton have some amazing fixtures. I've brought up Richarlison, but it's the same fixtures for Calvert-Lewin. But you can see Burnley, Newcastle, Brighton, Norwich, Villa, Newcastle again, Leeds, Southampton. It's just a great run of fixtures for Everton. So Calvert-Lewin did come into my thoughts, but then because of those kind of downside and those risks that I just outlined, I don't think I'm going to go for Calvert-Lewin. And in any case, I've got Lacazette, who's got tough fixtures after this game against Norwich. He could be someone I'd make way instead for DCL down the line when I've got a little bit more clarity about Everton and how they're performing in general. So as you can see, no real great options I think in the forwards. If I just go down the line, Vardy I can't afford, Ronaldo I can't afford, Jesus I can't afford, Saint Maximin I could afford, but he's been benched and I think he was nursing like a bit of a niggle. Pukki I'm not really interested too much in a Norwich forward. Wilson maybe could be a consideration, but even he was benched in one game. And Newcastle attack-wise, maybe not the best. And in any case, I think Ronaldo could be the better play. So I know I mentioned it previously in the video about why I may be leaning towards Ronaldo. This is the reason why. The benefit of going with Ronaldo is that, kind of what we saw in Ben Crellin's previous tweets is that Man United are one of the teams that could have a chance of having a double in Game Week 21 and also in 22. But the thing is that United still benefit from good fixtures in Game Week 19 and Game Week 20. Newcastle away, Newcastle are one of the worst defensive teams, and then you've got Burnley at home in Game Week 20. I think these two particular game weeks, even though Salah has got Leicester away, then I couldn't captain him because once I sell him, obviously I don't have him. But I would feel comfortable, captaining Ronaldo at home to Burnley. And the thing is that Manchester United actually benefit from a little bit extra rest in between this kind of real busy Boxing Day schedule, because you can see they play on the 28th of December. And the next game is then on the 31st of December, which is a Friday, and then it's the 4th of January, which is a Tuesday. I just realized this is all in Australian time, so I think in the UK time it would be Monday, Thursday, and then Monday again, which I think, that's pretty well spread out, and I think there's a good chance that Ronaldo could feature in all of those games. They've had a bit of a rest now with all their postponements, and I think it's the captaincy factor which is making me lean towards getting Ronaldo in using the Salah money. I still think Son could be a good option, at home to Crystal Palace, and he definitely could be captain worthy as well. Crystal Palace, though, aren't the worst defence, and away to Southampton. Just weighing up those two fixtures, though, I think Ronaldo, Newcastle, Burnley, I much prefer to Crystal Palace and Southampton away for Son. And I can get to Son a little bit later, around Game Weeks 21, 22, by downgrading Lacazette and then maybe upgrading one of my Manchester City midfielders. I mean, it's nice to have a bit of a plan, but we know that plans can be thrown up in the end, ripped to shreds, the way that things are going at the moment. That's kind of my high-level thinking at the moment. And so Ronaldo is probably what I'm looking to bring in for Emmanuel Dennis. In terms of a midfielder now, I've got 6.2 million in the bank. Ideally, I probably would have gone for someone like a Jared Bowen, but I'm a little bit out in terms of the budget. And so with 6.2 million in the bank, I kind of want to just maybe play this a little bit more short term. I'd maybe target someone who has got a good double game week in 22, but I think the main candidates would be like Gallagher or maybe even a Rafinha. I can't afford him. Bowen ideally would be who I'd go for. I could afford Smith Rowe, but Smith Rowe I have a feeling could be benched because he actually played the full 90 and started. Sorry, I don't know if he played the full 90, but he definitely started in the Carabao Cup midweek. So Martinelli is actually someone I've thought about because Arsenal do have Norwich. He's quite cheap at 5.3 million. I can easily bench him for their next fixtures, which I think is Wolves and then Man City. But he's on form as well, and I think there's a good chance that he'll keep his place in the starting 11. And he's got really good underlying stats as well. So Martinelli, it does seem like a bit of a points-chasing bandwagon kind of thing, but he's who I'm looking to bring in with that kind of 6.2 million in the bank. And so I've added Martinelli in there, and that's 0.9 in the bank for a -4. I don't mind the -4 because, both Salah and Dennis don't play this game week. And then I'm bringing in someone who plays, and Martinelli's got a good fixture against Norwich, and Ronaldo, great fixture against Newcastle, and Ronaldo would be my captain as well. So to me, that kind of justifies the -4 points hit. So that's probably how the team is going to look I haven't got, I haven't confirmed the transfers, obviously, because I want to wait until I get all the information. But the team would be, Ramsdale in goal. It'd be James, Alonso, Cancelo, and sorry, not Livramento. It would be those three. Sorry, in the back line, we'd have Gallagher, Martinelli, Bernardo Silva, and Foden in the midfield. And we have Lacazette, Antonio, and Ronaldo. So that actually leaves Livramento as my first sub for some cover for Antonio. So I do like that squad structure for this particular game week. So these are likely going to be the moves I'm going to make this game week. Not going to use my free hit. But if you get any other kind of fixture postponements that affect me, namely like a Villa Chelsea, I probably will play the free hit. So what I'll do, I'll quickly just kind of build a free hit draft. I haven't thought about it too much, but I'll kind of show maybe what I would do if I need to play the free hit at the end of the day. Okay, so what I'll get into now, I'll build a free hit draft just to kind of see, if I have to play the chip in the last minute. I've kind of already thought about what kind of team I might want to go for. So I think what I'll do, I'll start with the forwards, because I think the forwards in my head probably pretty obvious. Ronaldo 100% would be in my free hit draft, and he would be the captain as well. Even though he hasn't really shown that much form in the entire season, I think I still would actually go for Harry Kane, because it's a good fixture against Crystal Palace, and he actually has got some improving underlying stats as well. So I think Kane would probably be in my free hit draft. I think with a free hit, you want to have a bit of a fun with it as well, go for some differential high upside plays. So I think Kane at home to Crystal Palace could be a good play. I think for the third forward spot, I think I probably would still stick with Lacazette, because I think he's hopefully nailed on to play against Norwich. So I think Lacazette probably still would feature in my free hit draft. So those would be my three forwards. Now we'll move back to the midfield. So I think in the midfield, I think there's one dead set player I probably would go for, and that's Heung-min Son. Again, good fixture against Crystal Palace, and I really like the guy, so I think he's obviously going to be in a free hit draft. I think for the reasons I mentioned, Martinelli I think would probably also be in a free hit draft as well. I think West Ham at Southampton, I think Jared Bowen probably would be an obvious pick as well in the free hit draft too. And I'm a little bit undecided on the two remaining midfield spots, so I might just leave that for now. In terms of the goalkeeper, I could still stick with Ramsdale, or I could go for someone like David De Gea, but I think for the time being, I might just stick with Ramsdale, just because I know he's got good potential for saves. I think Norwich aren't the best in attack, and I probably trust Newcastle's attack just a little bit better, and I probably trust the Arsenal defence maybe a little bit more than the United defence. So I think Ramsdale probably would stay as my goalkeeper on a free hit draft. Now, looking at the defenders, I think Cancelo would still be in a free hit because it's at home to Leicester. He's got amazing upside, as we saw last game week, so he definitely would stay. And I think Reece James would also still be on a free hit draft as well if that game goes ahead, because away to Villa, I still think is a good fixture on paper for Chelsea. Now, in terms of filling out the rest of my defenders, I think looking at the way that this team's already being structured, it probably would be a 3-4-3 or maybe a 3-5-2. Actually, no, sorry, it would be a 3-4-3 because you've got Lacazette, Kane, and Ronaldo. So probably only need to get one kind of more, decent defender. And I think just to kind of get some coverage over the Manchester United defense, I probably would go with Diogo Dalot. I also don't want to completely ignore some of the other teams, like, Brighton, for example, have a pretty good fixture against Brentford at home. So I think getting one of the Brighton defenders could be a decent option. We could go with Sanchez actually as well as a second goalkeeper, or we could go with someone like Lamptey as well on the bench. So I actually don't mind bringing in Lamptey as well for bench coverage. Just thinking about it a little bit more, I think maybe looking at the midfield again, I don't actually mind having that kind of 7.5 midfield slot, and I think I'd either toss up between maybe like Bernardo, Foden, or maybe a Mason Mount. I think Chelsea playing away to Villa is a little bit tougher than Man City at home to Leicester, because Leicester's defense hasn't been the best. So let's say for now, if you want to be a little bit more secure, you could go with someone like Bernardo Silva, because Foden, we're just not quite sure yet what the security of his minutes is going to be. So now, as you can see, they've got 3 spots remaining and about 14.4 mil in the bank. So on the bench, you could probably go for, maybe you could go for a Sanchez, or otherwise, in my case, I might actually just keep Foster, because there's probably a good chance that Ramsdale does play, but we'll see. If we've got money in the bank, we could use that to kind of strengthen that second goalkeeper position. And now we've got 10.4 mil in the bank, so probably what I'm thinking is maybe like another 4.5 million defender, and then maybe a 6 million midfielder, or we could go 4.5 million midfielder and maybe a 6 million defender. So there's a lot of options that we could go in this way. I don't actually mind also getting players from that Burnley-Everton fixture, because I think given the way that the postponements are going, I think spreading your risk and not going all in on certain teams could be a nice, kind of risk management way to go about it. So maybe on the bench there with Burnley-Everton, we could go with one of the kind of Burnley defenders, the cheap one. So you've got like Charlie Taylor, or you've got Loughton. So let's just put in Loughton for now. And now we've got 6 mil in the bank to play with. So, you could, if you wanted to, instead of maybe going for Lacazette, we could actually maybe go for a Saka, who's 6.3. And then instead of Lacazette, you could even take a punt actually on a Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So because we've got some pretty decent bench depth, I'm actually thinking on the fly here, that might be a nice cheeky way of going about it. So I've just kind of swapped around Lacazette and I've actually put in Calvert-Lewin because he's a little bit cheaper, and then we can get in Saka. I think Saka's pretty nailed on. You're still getting double Arsenal attack and for less money. I know Calvert-Lewin could be a risk, but it's Burnley. Who knows? He could play. He could nab you a goal. You don't even necessarily have to play him, because what you might notice in this draft is that aside from Ben Foster, I've got a full 14 playing outfield, because there could obviously be further COVID announcements, not disappointments, postponements as well. And so I think having some good bench coverage, you could probably play a back three of Dalot, Cancelo and James, and then you could play the full 5 in the midfield, and then maybe play Kane and Ronaldo. Calvert-Lewin could be your first sub. There's different ways that you can go about it. I haven't fully put a lot of thought into it, but just on the fly, I think this is maybe kind of a draft that I would target. Instead of Bernardo, you could go for someone like a Mason Mount as well, but I don't actually mind the look of this team as a free hit draft as well, because it's a bit exciting. You've got some good differentials there, like Kane, Saka as well, Martinelli, getting the likes of Ronaldo and Son, really good, nice premium high upside players, and some good bench depth there with Lamptey and Loughton as well. So overall, I don't actually mind this as a free hit draft as well, and if I potentially do play the free hit, my team might look similar to this. Well, that's it guys, that is my GW19 team selection. I think the video probably went a little bit longer than I was planning to, but there's a lot to talk about, so hopefully you guys enjoyed my kind of thoughts on my team and different strategies overall, and why I'm at the moment not looking to play the free hit and just using my free transfers to build for game weeks 21 and 22. So if you guys enjoyed the video, really appreciate a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video. Happy holidays and good luck for game week 19.